The Rick Scott's 11-point plan is so insane, it's basically a gift to Democrats. I think this is true, and I think Democrats need to be pushing this like crazy. Rick Scott's 11-point plan. This is the senator who is in charge of the Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee, the RSCC. He's the head of the organization that raises money for and to get reelected Republican members of the United States Senate, who can then obstruct anything that Democrats want to do to help average Americans and can promote the traditional Republican agenda of dancing to the tune of the billionaires and the big corporations. So what is Rick Scott's 11-point plan? Well, number one, he wants to turn schools into patriotism factories. Yes, you must say the Pledge of Allegiance, and you must say that God part in there. He wants to close the Department of Education. He wants to put into place a voucher program that ghettoizes public schools and finally, ultimately, probably kills public schools and routes billions of tax dollars to unregulated religious so-called educational institutions, number one. Number two, he wants to cut off any funding for universities or schools or any sort of organization that takes money from the government that has diversity training. Oh my God, people might learn how to be sensitive about people who aren't like them. Number three, he wants to impose more draconian sentences for nonviolent crime and expand qualified immunity for cops so that they can, kill more people and get away with it and beat people up and stuff like that. Yeah, qualified immunity, isn't that cool? Give people a gun, give them a stick, and tell them there's no consequences. That's the second point of his plan. The third, the president should have a line item veto, which, by the way, is unconstitutional and would render Congress irrelevant. He wants to prohibit debt ceiling increases. Brilliant. In other words, the government can do nothing if we have a recession. He wants to tax poor and retired people. He wants to tax your Social Security income no matter how low it is. And he says socialism will be treated as a foreign combatant. Does that mean that anybody who advocates for Social Security and Medicare gets put in Guantanamo? I don't know, but it kind of seems that way. He wants to put into place term limits for members of Congress. Oh, brilliant. So we're going to double the power of the lobbyists, the only permanent power in Washington, D.C. He wants to ban abortion and ban porn. I'm not sure there's a relationship between the two. Maybe there is in Rick Scott's twisted mind. And he wants to give tax breaks to nuclear families, in other words, man, woman, children, and allow faith-based groups to discriminate against families that are not basically straight families. He wants doctors to be banned from treating trans people. And he wants to ban trans women from sports. He wants to ban Facebook and Twitter from banning users for hate speech or spreading lies, which, by the way, I think is a violation of the First Amendment that he's advocating. He wants to stop investing federal retirement dollars with, quote, woke fund managers. In other words, he wants to stop the federal government from investing money in, or any state agency, and most states do invest their money, their pension funds and things like that. He wants to ban them from investing in funds that refuse to, for example, invest in fossil fuel companies. How dare they? That's woke. And he says he wants to take climate change seriously but not hysterically. In other words, do nothing about it. Give it some lip service. I mean, this is one of his opening paragraphs. The militant left now controls the entire federal government, the news media, academia, Hollywood, and most corporate boardrooms. But they want more. They are redefining America and silencing their opponents. Which, leads Jeffrey Billman, who wrote this great piece for Orlando Weekly, to say, how much LSD does a man have to take to think of Joe Biden as the militant left? Really? I mean, come on. Scott's version, he says, of a white Christian America idealizes capitalists and idealizes people who espouse racist, misogynistic, and bigoted worldviews. This is the Republican Party's platform going into this November election, and Democrats need to be talking about it every single day. Rick Scott wants every federal program to sunset after 5 years unless Congress specifically acts otherwise. No more Social Security when Republicans are in charge. It will just go away. It will end. No more Medicare if Republicans can seize control of Congress and get the White House. It will go away. It will end. No more Medicaid, no more food stamps, no more, basically, federal aid to education. All the education department itself goes away. And Rick Scott wants to increase taxes on the bottom 60% of Americans so that we all have skin in the game, don't you know? We need to be talking about this a lot. This is the new Republican platform.